was with Mr. Wallace. The defendant borrowed his telephone and his telephone number.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, the dates of the time they were there,
Right.
from April 26th, he then left the day early, flying back on the 30th, and you recall relating to...
Right, so the dates that they were both there, the dates that Mr. Hernandez was there in California.
Correct. And then while there, he made a statement, the defendant made a statement to Mr. Paradise that he didn't trust anybody. That during that time, Mr. Hernandez was paying for everything for both him and for Wallace. And during that time, they were using marijuana, smoking marijuana approximately I think he said every hour or two. Wallace and the defendant were smoking marijuana. I think that would, those would be the subject areas, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we found out that...
So let me just, the B and C on the defense motion, there's no objection on B and C. You don't intend to inquire into B and C?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Well, Your Honor, I would say that the statement that the Commonwealth is going to attempt to elicit from this witness would fall into B. It is completely out of context. It is thrown out there in order to accomplish the same purpose as these other types of characterizations which the court has dealt with in the past, even if it was deemed relevant, because of the remoteness from the acts that are under consideration here. Clearly on a balancing, we believe that that would be more prejudicial than probative as to any issue in dispute here in the court, would introduce the very subject which we have set out in B and which we have discussed with the court on previous occasions. And we have concerns, as stated in the motion, about A, and to the extent that the Commonwealth is seeking to try and elicit anything beyond marijuana.
That's all I had intended, Your Honor.
So, with respect to the sort of 9 topics the Commonwealth listed, the only topic today you're objecting to is the statement, not trust anybody.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. The objection to that is sustained. I assume that Mr. Paradise, you have talked to him, someone will talk to him, he will be warned that he is to listen carefully and he is not to blurt out anything with respect to the matters that this court has indicated he cannot testify to, and that...
I do that, Your Honor, but I'd just ask, Your Honor, just because you had asked me the topics and I really haven't been able to articulate to the court a reason for wanting to offer that statement. The defendant, that is a statement of the defendant, that
Right.
he didn't trust anyone. The context, the full context would be in. There's nothing nefarious about that. He made the statement he didn't trust anyone. The defense, as the court knows in this case, has continued to suggest that there was a relationship between Ode and Lloyd and the defendant, that there would be no reason for him to have a motivation to kill him. The statement, I don't trust anybody, would clearly incorporate Ode and Lloyd. Ode and Lloyd obviously is somebody. So where there was other evidence where Ode and Lloyd knew certain things, and even further corroborated by the text message itself that morning about somehow I screwed up and told Odin about the spot, that there would be reason for him to distrust Odin Lloyd, particularly where he's made the statement he doesn't trust anybody. So that would be relevant with other evidence to that.
In the context of Paradise, we have the struck testimony with respect to the defendant's statements as to guns, as to a gun, Mr. Paradise feeling an object that has a gun, the context of what was going on in California, quite different from any of the evidence in this case, and therefore the court has sustained the objection.
And Judge, I would just say it had nothing to do with the gun. His statement about that was at another location where he made that statement. So again, correlating that back to the guns, I don't think is fair. It's not in that context. And if we have to then bring him in and ask him about it, we could do that. Okay. But just to say that respectfully, it's relevant when somebody's saying, I don't trust anybody, and then at the same time, the defense is trying to suggest they're buddies, where in fact he's saying, I don't trust anybody. And then there's evidence less than 36 hours before his death where he's sending a text message to his fiancée saying somehow he screwed up by telling him information, indicating there's more reason to be to have concerns about trust with Mr. Lloyd. So it's essentially striking out any reason for him to have a motivation, which clearly would be relevant with all the other evidence in the case, and particularly because it has nothing to do with the guns in California. He's already been instructed on that.
Your Honor, the court's analysis in the first instance was the correct one. And I think the argument of a 403 type balancing has been made by the Commonwealth. The prejudice associated with this statement. If Mr. Hernandez had said, I hate everyone out in California, would they be allowed to elicit that in order to say that he hated Mr. Lloyd 2 months or 3 months later back in Massachusetts? This is classic balancing material, Your Honor, and we would ask that the court adhere to its first ruling.
The objection is sustained. Resume in 15 minutes.
All rise.